A pleasant evening to you. Glad to have you join us on the Primetime News, reaching you this Saturday on MITV. I am Wofai Samuel. The headlines for tonight. West African Health Organization adopts a new approach to combating diseases outbreak. Still on the headlines, troop arrests suspected child traffickers in Yobe State. On the foreign scene, we'll be talking about Afghanistan soldier who attacked foreign troop bases. And on sports, the major headline is saying Celtic signs winger as Ryan Christie. Now the news in details. The West African Health Organization, WHO, an agency of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, is adopting a One Health approach to combating emerging threats to public health in the region. According to the Vice President of ECOWAS, Mr. Edward Sanghati, the approach seeks a multi-sectoral collaboration with member states to curtail the spread of diseases in the region. Edward made the disclosure on Saturday at the closing ceremony of the ECOWAS Health Conference in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. He expressed optimism that the One Health approach would help mobilize the needed resources to combat re-emerging threats of public health in West Africa. Now, troops arrested suspected child traffickers in Yobe State. 120 Battalion, 27 Task Force Brigade Nigerian Army have intercepted 4 child traffickers at Katako, Yobe State. The suspects were intercepted by the troops while on a routine patrol as they conveyed 19 underage children from Putiskum in Yobe State to Garin, Tuwo, Bungai and Buni in Gojba local government areas and Galararaba in BU local government areas of Borno State. The suspected traffickers and their victims have been moved to the brigade headquarters to be transferred to the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking of Persons, NAPTIP, that's NAPTIP. Ahead of the Supreme Court's judgment on the leadership crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party, PDP, the PDP Governors Forum has reaffirmed its determination to remain with the party. After a closed-door meeting of the governors in Abuja, the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, Governor Ayodele Fayose of Ekiti State, said they have resolved not to desert the party, irrespective of who wins at the apex court. The PDP has in the last 2 years been factionalized along 2 lines, with some of its members pledging allegiance to the current chairman of the party, Senator Ali Modu Sheriff. The rest, along with the most of some serving governors, belongs to Senator Ahmed Makarafi's camp. To Ekiti State, the governor, Ayodele Fayose, has said he is poised to be the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He stated this while meeting with past and present public office holders who are members of the People's Democratic Party in Ekiti State. Fayose also submitted that he would initiate the legal action next week for the completion of the aborted tenure in his first term in office. He charged the PDP members that all hands must be on deck for the next governorship elections in the state come 2018.
That one in Buhari's hand, I take that comment. You see, it's not about impression. You preach what you believe. Buhari or Jonathan is not their father's house. We are all politicians. Everybody wants to go to the villa. I've said what I want to be, what I want. And what I want is I want to be the president of Nigeria. I want to go to the villa. And if we go to court, the court says I can continue, I will be the candidate. And if the court says, no, you cannot continue, yes, one of us will become. But it's going to be one of the members of the Oshoku family.
Governor Ayodele Fayose there stating his presidential ambition. Now, Nigerians have been urged to eschew violence and sentiments to embrace peace towards national unity. The call was made recently during the 2017 Friendship and Dialogues Iftar dinner organized by Ufuk Dialogue Foundation with the theme, "This is a unique opportunity to share in an interfaith and intercultural experience in Abuja." Correspondent Folashade Abdul Salami reports that while speakers commended efforts of the organizers of the Iftar dinner, Nigerians were also charged at different levels to see themselves as persons living out of sentiments and avoid being used by politicians to achieve selfish ends, stressing that without peace, there can never be one nation.
Something that brings us together rather than something that separates us. If you reserve in your heart a seat for everyone, then you'll be able to accommodate any Nigerian, irrespective of where he comes from.
It costs effort to stay together, but the effort it takes to stay together is far less than the cost of disorganizing ourselves. We have not, the younger people probably didn't know about Biafra. We are old enough to realize what happened at that time.
And all these notices are being issued by people who were born after the Civil War. Like the elders said yesterday, youth are leaders of tomorrow. They should reserve the call for a republic and notices for tomorrow. When it is their time, they can exchange these notices. But today belongs to us, and we want one united Nigeria.
President of the Ufuk Dialogue Foundation, Camille Keman, said the foundation was founded in the FCT Abuja to further promote peaceful coexistence, mutual understanding amongst others through dialogue with academic and intellectual levels for education of different members of the society.
Dialogue was founded in Abuja, Nigeria to promote dialogue, culture of coexistence, mutual understanding, and establish a common interfaith, intercultural, and intellectual platform to stand by societal peace, love, tolerance, and respect and compassion in support of human dignity and the greater good of humanity.
Now, bothered by the increasing need to increase digital broadcasting in Nigeria, the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, has said that the digital switchover has moved to 6 states, one in each of the 6 geopolitical zones around the country. The Director General DG of the NBC, Ishak Modibo Kawu, stated this in Lagos at a joint press conference with the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, BON. Our correspondent Kunle Fatokin has details of the story as filed in our studios. Abuja and Jos, the capital of Plateau State, are already enjoying digital broadcasting since 2016 when it was launched. To ensure the spread of digital switchover nationwide, the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, says the switchover is moving to 6 states, one in each geopolitical zone in the country.
Following the successful launch of the Abuja switchover last December, we announced a plan to launch in one state from each of the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. Consequently, the following states were chosen for the next phase of the project: Kaduna in the northwest, Gombe in the northeast, Kwara in the north central, Washu in the southwest, Delta in the south-south, and Enugu in the southeast. I'm happy to inform you that at our last stakeholders meeting last week, the decision was taken to launch it in Kwara State by the end of June, and we're there to verify.
Financial commitment used to be a major stumbling block for the NBC, but the federal government waits in to put the digital switch over back on track as some countries study Nigeria's digital broadcasting process.
The EFCC seized monies from the previous regime at NBC because those monies were not put into the Treasury single account. So the money was put in the EFCC recovery account for many months. And when I became the DG of NBC, we made an appeal to the president, and by September last year, these monies were released to the NBC, 10 billion naira. So what we did with the money was to then begin to meet our commitments to the set-top box manufacturers, to our signal distributors, to our satellite provider.
The situation of Nigeria is not as like with the UK. In the UK, for instance, it was only financed by BBC because they have fund. It was no couple of government was in it in the UK because BBC has funds. They collect radio and TV license fees, so they have an accumulated fund to be able to do the DSO. Don't also forget that the population. What's the population of UK? What's the population of what's the landmass of UK? So these are some of the factors, and then what is the economy?
With the digital switchover process in the right direction, the NBC and BON bond says the digital broadcasting is not automatic but gradual as most countries adjust their respective switchover dates. We'll take a moment to bring you stories making headlines in the business world. Please join us again. Welcome back to Business News. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has said the economy would record tremendous improvement by the third quarter of the year, talking about 2017. Director of Banking Supervision, Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Ahmed Abdullahi, said this while briefing newsmen on the outcome of the 333rd Bankers Committee meeting in Lagos. Abdullahi explained that this was because the foreign exchange rate has remained stable as there was convergence between the official and parallel market. He also said that investors' confidence in the economy was gradually building up, as was indicated in downward trend in the inflation rate and the positive development recorded at the capital market. Other members of the Central Bank's Bankers Committee gave updates on the Agriculture and Small Enterprise Equity Fund and the progress made so far in the areas of financial inclusion.
That we're positive that by the end of the third quarter of 2017 this year, we are going to be in the positive GDP growth territory.
Foreign exchange reserves is so dynamic. Dollar flows in and flows out. You can have a figure by this morning. By 12 noon, it will have changed. So, I want to assure you that we are comfortable with the level of reserves that we have. When we started these new interventions, the question was sustainability. Since the 20th of February, we have sustained it.
The bid offer spread has reduced significantly. So that's number one. Number two is the fact that we've also seen a kind of a convergence between the rate on that window, we call it NFX, and that of the parallel market, which means that confidence is returning into the market.
Equity fund was a decision reached after the last Bankers Committee's retreat in May as part of the commitment of banks to support agriculture and small and medium-scale enterprises. Still talking business, the African Pharmaceutical Forum has challenged the Nigerian government to always look inwards as a pointer in encouraging local manufacturers. The national president, Anthony Akigbe, made the call in Lagos at the Association of Industrial Pharmacists of Nigeria, NIPE conference. Akigbe explained that no nation can develop economically when the local producers are not getting the necessary encouragement from both the government and the people. Other speakers called for an enabling business environment in order to make the local products competitive with the imported ones.
Them in partnership with they've started. For example, I'm told one of these companies is going to be producing vaccines that we need in Nigeria. That's the sort of thing we need. It's a source of encouragement. And the government should also patronize our local industry. When there are tenders, they should look inward first. Except those things they cannot produce, then they can look outside. That's a source of encouragement.
What we need to do is to get the pharma industry in Nigeria to be strong and to provide the citizens with a kind of what you call security. Like talk about food security or about national security, talk about medicine security. So, and that security will not come when you rely on foreign countries.
Bringing the industry under one voice, one umbrella,
Collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. That's the key word there. And then besides that is to build capacity for our members within the pharma industry, and then also to be able to see what can be done, in terms of preventing those leakages that we have right now within the industry.
Will have been more magnified and more impacted if we had a government that has a strong national policy on drugs, very strong one, back it up with political will. We have a national drug policy, very good, but there is no political will.
We'll take the news to Lagos, where the government has said the economy of Lagos State is more viable than that of most West African countries. Ambode, who spoke while flagging off a 2-day training in Ikeja, Lagos, southwestern Nigeria, said the state had more industries than all West African countries put together. He said to keep pace with this achievement, the need for training and retraining manpower to keep the vision moving was paramount. The governor was represented by the Commissioner for Establishments, Training and Pensions, Dr. Benson Oke. Permanent Secretary, Office of Establishments and Training, Folashade Udgunaike, charged the directors to pay more attention to the training as they were being repositioned for higher service.
Governor Kimambo, they have decided in his own wisdom that training will continue. It's going to be a continual exercise so that the real engine room, the real public servant can compete effectively with their counterparts all over the world. So we are not really taking Nigeria as an example now. We are planning to think outside the box. What does that outside the box signify? Is to make the public servant in Lagos State, who we regarded as the engine room, to cope effectively with their counterparts all over the world.
Identifying effective management strategies for the Lagos State Public Service was the theme for this training. We'll take a moment now to bring you stories making headlines on the international scene. Please join us again after this timeout. Welcome to news on the international scene. Now in Egypt, a court in Cairo has recommended death penalty for about 30 people convicted of involvement in the killing of Egypt's top public prosecutor. Hisham Barakat was assassinated in a car bomb attack in June 2015. He was the most senior state official to be killed by militants in recent years. Mr. Barakat had sent thousands of Islamists to trial since the overthrow of Egypt's Muslim Brotherhood-backed government in 2013. Hundreds of Islamists were sentenced to death or life imprisonment as part of a crackdown on supporters of the banned group. Still on the international scene, an Afghan soldier has attacked foreign troops at a military base with a number of U.S. soldiers wounded. The attack took place at a base in the north of the country on Saturday. However, a spokesman for the U.S. military command based in the capital Kabul dismissed earlier reports that American soldiers had been killed. They did say an unspecified number had been wounded when the Afghan soldier opened fire at Camp Shaheen. The NATO-led Resolute Support Mission said one Afghan soldier was killed and one was injured in the incident. The attack comes a week after Afghan Army commando shot dead 3 U.S. Special Force soldiers in eastern Afghanistan. We'll take the story to the U.S., where a judge has declared a mistrial in the Bill Cosby sex assault after the jury remained deadlocked for days in the case. The 7 men and 5 women were unable to reach a unanimous decision after some 53 hours of deliberation in Norristown, Pennsylvania. Mr. Cosby is accused of drugging and sexually assaulting Andre Costin in 2004. His lawyers had argued the sex was consensual. The U.S. comedian could now face new proceedings. He walks away from court a free man, but the prosecution has already said they are pursuing a fresh trial. Dozens of women say he assaulted them, but statutes of limitation rules mean he was allowed to be tried for Ms. Constant's allegation only. Sports News is up next. Please join us after this timeout. Welcome to Sports News. Now, Celtic have signed winger Johnny Haynes from Aberdeen on a 3-year deal for an undisclosed fee. The 29-year-old Republic of Ireland winger scored against Celtic in the 2-1 Scottish Cup final defeat